Recovery is not for the faint of heart. It is not easy to walk in the steps of recovery. It takes courage, it takes endurance, strength, and it can be a very painful journey, and not a lot of people are made up to face their demons.
In 1994, on my 27th birthday, I woke up from a what had been a three-day blackout, and I woke up with a sense of what they call incomprehensible demoralization.
I was 44, I have a 6-year-old son, I had a $300 a week cocaine habit, and I was trying to figure out what I could drink before going to pick up my son and going to teach your kids dance.
I found myself continuing to drink more and more and getting less and less, having less and less fun. And then the idea that I had to look in the mirror one day and said, Mel, this has happened to you. You're not only like your mother and your father, who were both alcoholics, but you've become better than they have at the job.
I thought it was me that was causing the issue. And if I just did it this way or that way, maybe that person wouldn't drink. Maybe they wouldn't do the things they do. It's like if only.
We've been looking for a magic pill to treat addiction for as long as there have been substances. And the one thing that heals more than anything else is story. The power of story, the power of one person to sit down with another, one alcoholic to another, and tell them, hey, this is my story.
Welcome to Hope Ripples Out, the Council's 75th anniversary celebration. Today, we celebrate the story of the Council, and we honor the legacy of the leadership of Mel Taylor, President and CEO.
This is our 75th year of continuous operation. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And for me to talk about the evolution of addiction and alcoholism treatment, I have to go back to really the origins of Alcoholics Anonymous. Bill Wilson and Bob Smith, who were founding Alcoholics Anonymous, realized that one missing dimension of the treatment of struggling alcoholics and addicts was on getting the American Medical Association to recognize addiction as a disease.
In Texas, at that time, if you were an alcoholic, you ended up in a sanitarium. If you became a ward of the state in the sanitarium, the future was pretty grim. The treatment as late as 1950, primary treatment for alcoholism was electroshock therapy.
It was like, we don't know what to do with these people, let's lock them up. Rather than, we don't know what to do with these people, let's help them find a cure, find a treatment for addiction.
They were trying to get alcoholism identified as an actual disease by the American Medical Association, and they were trying to get hospitals around the country to start addressing it as such and admitting patients, because they didn't.
Drug abuse, including alcohol use, was something that scholars, scientists, and medical people really didn't know what to do with. And the understanding of what addiction was really wasn't something they got. The foresight of Bill and Bob to understand that what was needed was not another AA program. What was needed was a public program, a committee, a community effort that really helped people understand alcoholism as a disease. And they thought forthrightly and very perceptively that the best way to do that was to bring someone in to go around the country educating the community on alcoholism and addiction. And the woman that stepped up was a woman named Marty Mann. She had relapsed so many times that she thought that doing this work would be a way to help her prevent relapse by going around the country, but also telling her own story and engaging in people.
Alcoholism has too long been a taboo subject, just as tuberculosis used to be 40 years ago. We're trying to teach people the truth, that alcoholism is a disease, and that because it is a disease, it should have no stigma attached to it.
Marty then was brought back to Houston and gave a speech to the local clubs, hence the spawning of the first Houston Committee for the Education on Alcoholism. And this is 1941, 1942. It took her from 1943 to 1956 to actually accomplish the recognition of alcoholism as a disease.
So the council was founded to educate the public.
Later, it became pretty obvious that information and education was only a first step, and maybe it's only a half step, that people who are suffering from disease of addiction, they don't know so much need the information as they need help, direct help.
It's difficult. It's difficult, and it's in the beginning, I think it's hard to understand, not recognizing that it truly is a disease, and there is shame associated with it. And you know, in sharing my story, I've learned that there are a lot of people who, like me in the beginning, are dealing with shame and embarrassment, and they don't want to talk about it.
I was a child of a parent with an addiction, and I wasn't allowed to get help. I wasn't allowed because of shame and stigma. You know, my father was afraid.
When I was in recovery in the very beginning, just as a woman and as a mom, I experienced a lot of shame, and I felt the horrible stigma that was associated with that.
We also believe that shame and the stigma is the underbelly of all addiction. So we are absolutely we're talking shame, we're educating on shame. We are hopefully healing from shame to get them to shift that core message, to have love for themselves and have compassion for themselves and others.
So the council can be a guilt and shame car wash, right? On many, many levels, right? And go in and out the doors enough, you'll learn a little bit. Some of that'll go away, and then you'll build more trust and help with some of that healing, some of that hurt.
I can't help myself unless I'm helping somebody else. But what's the paradox? I can't help somebody else unless I'm helping myself, right? The miracle of Alcoholics Anonymous was two guys sitting down at a breakfast table. You know, they were strangers. They were total strangers. And what they had was story. What they had was a story about being an alcoholic and what that felt like, and the cravings and the night sweats and the failed relationships and the lost jobs and the hurt kids and all of that stuff. It's fundamental to who we are at the council. You know, we want to hear your stories.
This is a place, it's a safe haven for everyone who is suffering from alcoholism, addiction, a child of an alcoholic. And it gives everyone a safe place to hear true stories of experience, strength, and hope. And I would call that the best ripple effect.
My story, which has really never been told publicly, my story, I remember 8 or 9 years old, and my parents would play bridge or poker. They had poker night, and there would be beer at the table, and after they would all leave, my brother and I would come up and drink the remaining beer. Or I would come up on a Saturday and said, I want a swig, I want a taste. My dad would give me a taste of beer. And that turned into a really big gulp of beer. And I liked it, and I developed a taste over time. So I drank growing up, and I lived on the border, so access to alcohol was legal in Mexico. So I could drive to Mexico and I could drink. But it never really became a problem for me until after college. My routine was to come home, light a cigarette, make a drink, maybe smoke a little pot after dinner with some friends, and eat lots of munchies and food that wasn't particularly healthy. And that was a behavior that went on for a long time. And I'd come home from playing tennis and was not feeling particularly good and coughing a little bit, and chest was very tight. And I made myself a rum and Coke, And I walked in and put the rum and coke down on the table, and I opened the drawer and I lit a cigarette, and I kind of looked up, and in the mirror was somebody I didn't recognize. It was a gray-skinned, very long, straggly beard, bloody eye, bloodshot eyes, and pardon my French, but this individual in the mirror looked at me and said, "Shit or get off the pot." And it was as bold and vivid and alive to me as anything I've ever felt or seen. And I put out the cigarette and I poured out the drink. That vision is still there, and I still have that mirror, and it's at my desk. And it's the moment of truth mirror for me. And when I'm walking into something that's big or making a decision, I take a look in that mirror and see exactly, what am I saying? What am I believing? Am I being true to me? Am I being honest to me? That was my turning point. It really was.
I think when you're dealing with these issues, you know, it's important to get a person and to be with a person in a place where they can begin to open up. What the challenge is, and I think what the council has done, is create a welcoming environment.
The building was really built on a vision that was that this could be an oasis. And I walk into this place, I'm embraced by smiling faces. It's a place that says you can get help here.
You know, when people walk in someplace, they deserve to feel warmth and respect.
It was so impactful for me from the first meeting because then I was hooked. I walk into this meeting not knowing anything about the program, about the council, about the people, and I had just gotten off the golf course, so I had my cute little outfit on, and I walk in and I see people start to walk in. And of course, in my judgmental mind, I started sitting here saying, wait a minute, what could this person possibly have in common with me? Maybe I'm in the wrong place. And then I started to notice, wow, there's all different ages in here. Wow, there's people from all different countries in here. Surely I'm in the wrong place. Until the very first share that a person talked about, the light bulb goes off, and I'm almost holding my breath because here was a younger gentleman from a different country who was sharing the same exact feelings I had. It was the first time in my life where I felt like I have found my tribe. I have found my community, and it's diverse, and it's authentic, and it's vulnerable. And I said, yes, finally healing can really start to begin for me. And that was the first meeting.
When I went to my first meeting, I loved it because it was all about me. At least that's what everybody said. So I thought it was great. And then at the end, they applauded, and I got to go up and get a chip. So I went, oh, I'm doing this tomorrow. This is awesome, right? Because everything in my brain was all about me. And I went the next day, and nobody applauded. I was like, what's going on? It wasn't about me anymore, right? And then the next couple meetings I went to, I heard this woman speak. And she said that she had guilt and shame because she was a mother. And I went, I honed into that because when I got sober, I was 44. I had a 6-year-old son, and that's where I was when I got here. So when that woman spoke about how she felt guilt and shame about being a horrible mother, that's what I related to because I wasn't like anyone in the AA rooms. I was so special. But and I asked her to be my sponsor. And she just happened to be on the board of the council. And that's when she said, oh no, you will do this after we work the steps. She goes, oh no, you're gonna help other people. And if you don't know how, this is how you're gonna start, right? It was the best thing that ever happened to me.
What we do is we try to help people who are suffering. We're not trying to do anything necessarily new, but we're just trying to do it better with compassion. The council tries to address all of the different things that go into changing behaviors, changing old patterns that we had no control over, changing familial systems that have been in place for generations.
We carry our stuff all the way from great, 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 great people all the way down. It's not named, it's not shown, but it has come up in behaviors, shame and secrets and blame, and all these things that we try to hide away are transgenerational. And so the way my mom was attracted to my dad is because she came from that same type of system. And in our treatment, we help stop that replication.
When you're working with the whole family, people think children aren't impacted, and that's a falsehood that has been shown time and again. You're helping prevent that cycle of addiction from continuing by providing services to prevent it among the child.
If we can get to a child in their formative years, because they're taking notes, they're doing research, they're thinking about alcoholism and drug abuse. It's my story of learning to drink at my parents' bridge table, learning to drink when my dad giving me a sip of beer. That's where those decisions start. The earlier upstream we get, the better we are for laying a base, providing a firm structure for families. That voice of dad, that voice of mom is forever in their ear saying, hey, this is not acceptable. This is not what you should be doing. This is not what we do. There's a way out. And I think those early prevention efforts are invaluable.
The ripple effects get bigger and bigger and bigger with the generations of people that come after me. My daughter, her children, and the children after her. To stop this family dysfunction from going into the next generation. So what they helped me to realize is that it's not just me. This is coming from my family.
You know, one doesn't realize the effect that they have on the people around them. The sickness that I spread, I found out about after I got sober. Like, I thought this whole addiction thing was happening to me, just to me. Well, why do you care? I mean, I'm not hurting anybody else. And I had no idea on the effect it had on my parents, my son, because I found stuff on him. And I was like, whoa, I said, honey, we got to pump the brakes. Let mama tell you something. So I sat down and told him my story. And we'll see. That's all I can do, is share what happened to me. I don't want to keep, that's a ripple I want to stop. That's something I don't want to go any further when it comes to addiction and that tornado. If you talk about starting from the drop and rippling out, what I've learned, I get to do this. And I get to become part of that ripple.
When we work with one person, we can know that there's that ripple. When one person walks out our door, they're that drop. And that's just really powerful if you really think about it. We have no idea how far that reach has gone.
I count on my own experience as someone who has been a recipient of the programs and services that the council provides. Specifically, it was the Center for Recovering Families. Had that service not been available to me and to my family, I don't know if I would be in recovery today.
My connection is through my son, Jason. He was struggling as an addict and needed help, so he was referred to the council. So as a mom, it first of all, it provided the resources that Jason needed to find a place for recovery. But then as a family, we decided to do family counseling, and it helped us as a family to do some healing because we realized that this addiction affected us all.
Talk about the ripple that's 10 years out, 20 years out, 27 years out in my case, right? I mean, I was the first person in my family to get sober. And I wasn't the last, right?
Until we start treating mental health and substance abuse concurrently, we're never going to be as effective as we could be in dealing with both issues. So we've really got to change the whole paradigm. It's got to be a full suite between medical schools, medical practitioners, psychiatry, and substance abuse professionals all getting together on the same page. So to address that, we've just started the Center for Co-Occurring Disorders, which is really designed to do three things. One is identify the problem and the scope of the problem. Two, to really begin to research how we can treat them co-dynamically, co-occurringly. And three, provide training to all of those groups.
We have to learn to communicate differently. It can't be, nope, we're gonna talk this way and you're gonna act this way and we're not gonna meet in between. And I think we've really now found the part, we've pushed on many doors over the past 18 years. And I believe we finally pushed open a big one by working with Baylor College of Medicine and Harris Health.
I think that there's great momentum and progress that's being made because of the council, the center, and others. But I think that we really need to understand who is affected by substance use disorders and rid ourselves of the stereotypes, because it's pervasive. It's pervasive in this country. And I think that we just need to, get real about that and have this conversation in a very public way.
Which I actually think that Mel has done part of his thrust at the council has been this idea that we want to be an organization that is always here for the community.
A lot of the growth of the council over these years, is attributable to the work of Mel Taylor. I mean, I don't think you can say enough about him.
Mel's a good salesman. Mel can sell a Q-tip to a cotton ball, honey. But in the most kind of smooth way, right? He, to me, is ease and comfort. There's nothing complicated here. There's no hidden agenda. It just is.
He's a great friend. He's a great man. He's a great father. He's just a great human being. And one of the things that I personally have enjoyed about Mel is his ability to just calm me down. I am a huge fan and supporter of Mel. I just think he's great.
I've learned a great deal from his servant nature, like his ability to lead as part of and not just be all the way in front of. And it's contagious. He's contagious in his energy and his passion and his drive. He expects a lot, but he also gives a lot.
I believe that Mel really laid a great foundation, just with his leadership and his work ethic and his dedication, every day wanting to help people. And that's someone you want as a friend, and that's someone you want as a leader.
He's a fighter for injustice. He's a true social worker. He's a good guitar player too. He wrote some songs. And even a yogi. So yeah, he's kind of a special guy.
3 decades of work anywhere is an accomplishment. I think the council was lucky to have the right guy in the right place at the right time, and I don't think the council would be here without him 75 years on.
I can talk about Mel all day long. So off camera, what would you like to know about him?
Let's go, keep going, guys.
We're here today for a special reason. Mel is leaving us. We're 75, and we continue to need your support.
I really want people to think about the impact of what their gift can have. When people are struggling with this problem, they're very alone. They're very isolated. When a wife or a husband is struggling with a loved one, a son's addiction, threats and fears of loss of life, there is no way to describe what those families are feeling. But what we want people to realize is that without their financial help, there is nowhere for them to go to get the kind of help that the council provides.
I would ask people to consider these following things. If you've received a service from this organization, what has it meant to you? If you are a person who is a citizen of the community, what has this resource meant to you? So I would ask the question, what does it mean to you not to have the council here?
We are the first place to start if you have any kind of issue with substance. We have always been there for people in all walks of life. And these kind of donations and funding are necessary to keep the work up.
We're literally saving lives. Sometimes not just one life, but an entire family's life. We're there on the front lines, ready to respond 24/7, 365.
And if we're not willing to step it up and quite frankly, write as big of a check as we possibly can, then this resource is going to be at risk.
Well, it's really pretty simple. The bottom line is if we don't have people to support the council can't support people.
We provide that help without turning anybody away. We don't charge a fee. Everything we do is on a sliding scale. Money is not our primary object because donors fill the gaps in our funding needs. People like you, people like others who say, I want to give back.
You come to us for help, we're helping, period. And I think that's what the council does best, is help no matter what.
Hear me that I am one of many voices that says thank you, that you invested in an organization that invested in me and that is impacting generations beyond me. I'm grateful for you investing in my life so that I can turn around and invest in somebody else's.
So I want to say thank you to the people who've been there from the beginning, and I want to say thank you to those new people. We cannot do it without your help and without your support.
You know, I've never really asked for money to individuals. I've always said, would ask you to consider, prayerfully consider a gift to the council so that other families don't have to experience that deep tragedy and deep loss. And that's why I'm so grateful to donors who allow us to continue to provide help without turning people away. That's why we exist. And as long as the council is here, we will continue never to turn people away.
We invite you to continue the journey with us by making an investment in our future. Many of you know this as our Green Card Appeal. Now is the time we ask you to thoughtfully and prayerfully consider giving. Your support today honors the past, and more importantly, it helps ensure a stronger council for decades to come. Please give. Give to honor Mel and his 28 years of ripples at the council, to honor his tireless dedication to our community. Give to secure the future of the council, to keep the ripples going. Give to make your own ripple of hope.